that we give a record, that is fine. So I'll forward to you also. So here preparation of alcohols we are in, and reduction using, this is the reduction process. This is the reduction process. The reduction we can do using RCOH, palladium nickel hydrogen. This is the reduction. So when you use this, you get RCH2OH. So always remember alcohol. This is the sequence. Alcohol. When you oxidize an alcohol, you get a aldehyde or a ketone. Ketone you get when you have a secondary alcohol or a tertiary alcohol, you get a ketone. Aldehyde is generally for primary alcohol. And now this on further oxidation, this gives carboxylic acids, okay, oic acids. So this is the sequence of the reaction which you need to remember. Alcohol oxidation gives aldehyde or ketone and then carboxylic acids. So alcohol, how does it look like? It looks like this COH group will be there. The COH group will be converted to a keto group. Okay, keto group. This is how the keto groups look like. Okay, this is how a keto group look like. And now the oic acid will look like this. Okay, COOH. Okay, this is how this entire chain, whatever it is. So this is how the reaction sequence will be. So you have to remember this reaction sequence. The reverse sequence is the reduction sequence. This is the reduction sequence. This reduction is achieved by many ways. So one of the ways is this one, palladium nickel, using the palladium nickel catalyst and hydrogen. Okay, and now this is the reduction sequence. This is the reduction sequence. Reduction sequence. This is the reduction sequence. And now this is how you have the next one. Now, for example, you can take this one, CH3, C double bond O, H, CH3, CHO, right? And then you treat this with LiAlH4. This is a lithium aluminum hydride. So what you get is CH3, CH2OH. So lithium aluminum hydride, or you can do this one also, palladium nickel catalyst using hydrogen. You will get CH3. What happens here? This one, you will attach one hydrogen here, attach one hydrogen here. CH3, CH2OH. This is how you get. You attach one hydrogen here on oxygen, attach one here hydrogen here on the oxygen, and break this bond. That's what you have to do. Attach one hydrogen here on the oxygen, attach one hydrogen here on the carbon, and break that middle bond. One pi bond you break. So this is what is happening. Clear? I hope it's clear. So that's what the reduction of the carbonyl compounds. This is how we achieve. And for example, you consider the next case is you consider something like this, a ketone. The process wise it's same, palladium, nickel, hydrogen. When you treat, the process wise it is same. One hydrogen here on the oxygen, one hydrogen here on the carbon, like this you can do, and then break this bond, remove this. So that's how we do the product. So R, this is the technique of doing the product. So R C H R dash. Hope you understood the sequence, how to handle this reduction sequence.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The next one is reduction of carboxylic acids and esters. Even you can reduce the carboxylic acids. You take the carboxylic acid and then you treat it with LiAlH4. So this is a lithium aluminum hydride, and then that lithium aluminum hydride, it's followed by H3O plus. If you treat it with an acid, then you get our CH2OH. This is straight. And then you can consider this reaction. So if you consider this benzoic acid and then benzoic acid, you treat with LiAlH4, and then the second sequence you have H3O plus. This deals with, you have CH2OH. I think we have done this, if I remember. Grignard reagents also we have done. Preparation of phenols, cumin, yeah, cumin I think I did. If I remember, yeah, cumin. Oh, this one we have already completed. Last class we have completed. Last class we have completed. I'm redoing, I think. Okay. So we had to see chemical reactions of phenols next. Forgot that. We have done this, Amma.
Yes,
Chemical
sir.
reactions of alcohols we have to do. Okay, we'll do that. We'll go for that. Okay, this is like a recap. Okay, let's leave it. Okay, reactions of alcohols is what we have to see. Reactions of alcohols. Reactions of alcohols is what we have to see. What are the reactions of alcohols? Suppose you take ROH 2 moles and treat it with sodium, you get something like this. The hydrogen will be released. The hydrogen, 1 mole of hydrogen will be released from 2 moles of alcohol, and you get a compound like R, 2 moles of R, C, R, O, N, A. You get this. Na plus O minus. I should not write the bond. I should write something like 2RO minus Na plus, because this is an ionic bond. Okay. So here, what happens here is sodium is being more electropositive. It will release the hydrogen. It will replace the hydrogen in the alcohol. It will replace the hydrogen of the OH bond. This hydrogen is liberated. And what we get, this compound is called sodium alkoxide. This compound, whatever forms, is called sodium alkoxide. Suppose I consider 2 ETOH, ethyl alcohol. ETOH means ethyl alcohol. Plus I treat with sodium. Of course, I need 2 moles of sodium. So I get, what do I get is 2 moles of ETO minus Na plus H2. So this is again, this is called sodium ethoxide. This is called sodium ethoxide. Okay, right. Now let's see. Now we have, this is called aluminum tertiary. Okay, we'll tell you, this is very important compound. What is Me? Me means CH3 group. Okay, this is called tertiary butyl alcohol. Tertiary butyl This is called tertiary butyl alcohol. It is treated with aluminum. So it forms a very nice, it's a reagent. We will take 6 moles of this and then 2 moles of aluminum. So to get 2 moles of this compound, which is called, it looks like this. I will draw that entire structure kind of thing, because you will have an idea what is there in the textbook. So like around aluminum, 3 molecules of this tertiary butoxide will come, which is called, this reagent is called aluminum tertiary butoxide. Tertiary butoxide. This compound is called aluminum tertiary butoxide. Similarly, when you have, this is written like this in your text, it is written like 2 moles of TBUO thrice AL, like this they will write. Okay, ma? TBUO means tertiary butoxide. So this is how it looks like. Not very complex structure. What you have to do is, you remove this hydrogen and put one aluminum here. Okay. Keep repeating the same unit once again, 3 times like this. Okay. I hope you got it. Instead of hydrogen, you put aluminum here. After that, you repeat this unit twice over the aluminum. That's all. This unit, 1 time it came, 2nd time, 3rd time. That is what is this one. This is called aluminum tertiary butoxide. Here what aluminum is doing, it is releasing the hydrogen, like what sodium does. Aluminum is tripositive ion. So the reason, 3 things are coming and joining the aluminum. Clear, Amma?
Okay.
Okay, right. Now let's move on. So next one, you take phenol, and phenol is treated with sodium. So to get, hydrogen will be released, of course. To get sodium phenoxide, 2 moles will take 2 moles of sodium phenoxide. This is called sodium phenoxide. Plus 1 mole of hydrogen is released. Of course, this is called sodium phenoxide. This is called sodium phenoxide.
Okay.
Okay. Next one, we have one small sequence you have to remember. Acidity of alcohol. This is not that important. Generally, this is the order. Primary alcohol is greater than secondary alcohol is greater than tertiary alcohol. This is the sequence. Generally, this question will not be asked on this one. Very rare. The question will be asked is very rare. Next, this is an important question. Can I clear? This is very important. Why phenol is acidic? Why phenol is acidic? Why phenol is acidic? This is very important question. Why the phenol is acidic? Reason being the formation of phenoxide ion with the loss of proton is stabilized by resonance. So this is how one can give the answer. So here stabilized by resonance, hence phenol is acidic. In simple words, hence phenol is like this. You can give phenol is acidic. So you can write some resonance structures of the phenoxide anion like this. So go like this. This is the phenoxide anion. So it goes like this. This is how you had to view. This phenoxide anion, how it is formed, that I had to tell you. It's very simple. See, this is the phenol. Once it loses the proton, once the proton is lost, it will form phenoxide ion. This is a very standard question. It will form phenoxide anion. So here you have double bond O. This is negative charge. Here you go like this. Now, so it's like this. It goes on here. You have to ensure the charge shifts on the ortho and para positions. If you remember that, that's fine. So here you go like this. Now this structures you have to practice, then only you can handle this. Now like this, and the last one, it goes like this, and you get back this. So this is how you had to do resonance structures. You had to practice, and then you have to give this. This is a resonance hybrid configuration. Okay, ma. Now this is about the phenol. Next, one more question is there. Clear, Amma? Can I go ahead?
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. Now we go in substituted phenols. This is an important point. In substituted phenols, presence of electron withdrawing groups. Electron withdrawing groups like NO2 increases the acidic strength. Increases the acidic strength. Increases the acidic strength of phenol. Increases the acidic strength of phenol. All nitrophenols are more acidic than phenol. Are more acidic than phenol. All nitrophenols are more acidic than phenol. When NO2 group is at ortho or para positions, the effect is more pronounced. The effect is more pronounced. The effect is more pronounced. This is one of the important points.
Okay.
We have another question here. This is also a general question. Why ortho and para nitrophenols are more acidic than para-nitrophenol? So we'll do this. So first of all, you have to understand what is orthonitrophenol and para-nitrophenol. So based on this, some questions, two more questions are there. This is para-nitrophenol. And this one is orthonitrophenol. This one is nitro group is at ortho positions. This is ortho nitrophenol. And this one is meta-nitrophenol. What they are saying is the first two are having more acidity than that of meta-nitrophenol. Why? We have to give the explanation. This is the meta-nitrophenol. So we need to give the explanation of this. This is the one we had to see. We had to give the explanation for this. Please note it. We'll do. This is the question. Why orthonitrophenol or para-nitrophenol are more acidic compared to meta-nitrophenol? The answer it goes like this. It is due to effective delocalization of negative charge of negative charge in phenoxide ion. In phenoxide ion. This is how one can give the answer. And orthonitrophenol is less acidic than paranitrophenol because of due to, you can say, due to intramolecular 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 means within the molecule, okay. Intramolecular hydrogen bonding, intramolecular hydrogen bonding. Based on this, one more question is also there. Okay, now acidity sequence of nitrophenols. So based on this, we can have acidity sequence of nitrophenols. So what is the acidity sequence? When you have this one, this is my paranitrophenol, that is more acidic than orthonitrophenol, that is more acidic than orthonitrophenol, that is even more acidic than metanitrophenol, that is even more acidic than metanitrophenol. So this is the acidity sequence. Of course, they are more acidic than phenols, definitely. They are more acidic than phenols. This is more acidic than phenol. So this is the acidity sequence. Okay. Paranitrophenol, orthonitrophenol, and this is metanitrophenol, and this is phenol. This is the acidity sequence. Clear, Amma?
Yes, sir.
Okay, right, good. There is one more question here. Why orthonitrophenol has less boiling point than paranitrophenol? This is a very standard question. Why orthonitrophenol has less boiling point than paranitrophenol? This is a very standard question. Orthonitrophenol has intramolecular hydrogen bonding. Hydrogen bonding. So you had to write that intramolecular hydrogen bonding. The same reason is for the acidity. So here you go, it's like this. N, like this, O. This is how they are connected. This is intramolecular hydrogen bonding. The structure you have to remember. This is orthonitrophenol. Whereas in the case of paranitrophenol, in case of paranitrophenol, it is intermolecular hydrogen bonding. Hence it's an associated liquid. Hence it's an associated liquid. Hence it's an associated liquid. Hence it is an associated liquid. So how does it look like? This is what we have to see. So it goes like this. Here OH, here NO2. Like this, the sequence continues. Okay, ma? Like this, the sequence continues. One molecule you put like this, one molecule upside down. And again, one molecule like this. It's just connected like this. OH. Okay, this is NO2. And then another molecule you put upside down. So like this, it is connected. It's an associated liquid. Like this, you will see an associated liquid. Okay, like this, it goes on. It goes on like this. So here another molecule will come. Like this, it gets bonded. So you have an associated liquid. Because it's an associated liquid, you need more energy to spend to break these bonds. Many bonds you have to break. But for this one, this is like a single entity, single piece. But this is associated. Unity is power. So it is like these are as united pieces. So it's very difficult to boil this. This physical property is utilized to separate the phenols, nitrophenols. So how do you separate orthonitrophenol and paranitrophenol? It's just by distillation, you can tell, because the variation in the boiling point is heavy because of intermolecular and intramolecular hydrogen bonding. So based on this fact, you can separate the nitrophenols. So these are some of the important questions on the physical properties, especially on the phenols. Okay, ma. Let's clear this. And now the next one is called esterification. Esterification. What is this esterification? Ester means it is like this group, RCO OH unit, right? Instead of hydrogen, if I put an alkyl group here, R, that is called an ester. Ultimately, it is RCOOR. This is called an ester. RCOO R dash, if you write, that is an ester. R dash, R can be same, R can be different. Generally, they will write RCOO R dash. This is called an ester. So here, what we can write is alcohols and phenols upon reacting with carboxylic acids, or acid chlorides or acidic acid anhydrides. They give esters. So this is the fundamental idea. So let's see. Uma, can I clear this? Return.
Yes. Okay.
So you have like this RCOOH. We will take some alcohol R dash O. We will take R dash OH. We will take in the presence of an acid. Actually, this is a reversible reaction. We have to be very careful about this reaction. So this is RCOO R dash. This is what you get plus H2O. So very simple. So how to remember this? Suppose I will take the example of acetic acid. So this is acetic acid, right? And now you write like this, C2H5. You write like this. And now the water will be removed like this. So, okay, it's not actually mechanism. It's like how to remember the things is what we have to know. So it's like water will go like this in the presence of an acid. So both the things coupled together, they get dehydrated. So you get CH3, join the other things. That's it. So OC2H5. With the loss of water, you get this. This is called ester. This is called ethyl acetate. This is called ethyl acetate. This is the ester. Here there is one and only very important thing. That is preparation of aspirin. We will discuss only that reaction. That is sufficient. So here, the aspirin preparation. Can I clear this, Amma? Once you are done, we'll clear this. So the question comes in, how do you prepare aspirin? First of all, what is aspirin molecule? So this is our aspirin. I'll draw that. So here you have OCOCH3. This is our aspirin molecule. This is aspirin. This is called acetyl salicylic acid, which is called aspirin. Acetyl salicylic acid, which is called aspirin. And now, how do we deal this one? How do we get the aspirin? How do we get aspirin? So you have this one is called salicylic acid. Okay, this is called salicylic acid. Salicylic acid. Salicylic acid is treated with acetic anhydride. Salicylic acid is treated with acetic anhydride. So when it is treated with acetic anhydride, in the presence of an acid, what you are going to get is the ester. Hope you understand. This is how the ester will form. Okay, this thing will be removed, and the entire group gets connected. Okay, sorry, this up to here, it will be removed up to here, and this entire thing CH3CO will get connected to oxygen. So what you get is CH3COOH. I hope you can see here, CH3COOH. This entire thing is gone, and now this much piece is getting connected here. So it happens here. So O CO CH3 COOH. This is aspirin molecule. This preparation of aspirin is very, very important in the examination point of view. Okay, ma? The next one, we'll see. I have the next one. These are the usual things. Okay. Alcohols reaction, this covered alcohols reaction. Okay, anyway. See this, C2H5OH. These are covered in the preparation of the alkyl halides. So that alkyl halides will show them as reactions here. Okay. Reactions of alcohols. Okay. Sorry, ma. So you have PCl5, okay, C2H5Cl, PBr3, okay. So C2H5Br. So these are the usual reactions what we have seen. So they are usual reactions. Don't worry much about these reactions. They are available in your textbook.
Okay, sir.
Okay, right. Now we have to see dehydration mechanism. Dehydration of alcohols in presence of an acid. In presence of an acid. So how does this happen? Dehydration of alcohols in presence of an acid. This is a mechanism which you have to learn. That is very important. So how does this mechanism will happen? So how we consider what happens if the dehydration happens. So we get alkene here. We get alkenes here. We get alkenes here. So what happens? The dehydrating agents are dehydrating agents. Dehydrating agents. They are H2SO4 as well as H3PO4. These are the dehydrating agents, and the catalyst catalysts are Al2O3, and you have another one is ZnCl2. Al2O3 and ZnCl2. These are catalysts. What is the ultimate reaction? Ultimate reaction is like this. Suppose you have H and OH. This is an alcohol. So after dehydration, what you are going to get is like this, an alkene. So ultimately, this is what happens. Water molecule will be lost, and you are going to get an alkene here. You are going to get an alkene here. Okay. Now, how does this mechanism will go? So it goes like this. So you have CH3, CH2OH. They will teach only for this. Okay. They will ask the question only on ethyl alcohol, nothing else. So don't worry about the other molecules. So 90% of the case they will ask only on ethyl alcohol. So the mechanism also will be asked on ethyl alcohol. So H2SO4. So other molecules also they ask, that doesn't matter. So it happens at 443 Kelvin. So you get ethene. You get ethene. You get ethene. So this is the one you have. So how do you get this thing? We have a mechanism for this. So next one is isopropyl alcohol. Isopropyl alcohol will see secondary, and then tertiary detail. How do we get? So first mechanism will write. So the mechanism formation. The first step one is formation of protonated alcohol. Protonated alcohol. Actually, these are very simple mechanisms, not at all difficult. So here it goes like this: CH3, CH2. On the oxygen, always two lone pairs will be there. So this lone pairs will be given to proton. So to get this one, that is CH3. CH2O H H, and this oxygen will get positive charge after donating the lone pair. That's the step one. This is called protonated alcohol. Protonated alcohol. It's called ethyl oxonium ion. It's called ethyl oxonium ion. And this is fast step. Formation of protonated alcohol is the first step.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Next one is the slow step, that is the formation of carbocation. Formation of carbocation. Carbocation. This is the second step. Formation of carbocation. This is slow step, rate determining step. This is slow step and rate determining step. Rate determining step. This is a slow step and rate determining step. So what happens here is you have the alcohol, right? The protonated alcohol. So I'm expanding the view. So we'll write an expanded view of this protonated alcohol. And now it will lose a water molecule. It will lose a water molecule to form a carbocation. Carbocation means carbon with positive charge. Carbocation. I'll write what is carbocation. Carbon with positive charge. That is carbocation. So once this loses the water molecule, so you get H, 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 C, H, H plus. This is what you will have. And now this is the carbocation, and later elimination of proton. So after here you write, this is the formation of carbocation, slow step, and it is the rate determining step. This is a slow step and it is rate determining step.
Okay.
Okay, next step is you have this carbocation and there will be elimination of proton. That is the third step. Elimination of proton. That is the step number 3. So elimination of proton, how does it happen? This is how it goes, and it gives the bond electrons to this, and that's how this is. This actually not reversible, but it's okay. We can write reversible. So okay, so a proton is eliminated, so you get this one. And H plus you get. So how does this happen? See, this is a positive charge. These electrons are given to the positive charge. That's why this is neutralized and H plus is out. Hope you understood. This positive charge, these are 2 electrons. Bond means 2 electrons. These 2 electrons are transported here as pi bond. So this sigma bond is broken and it is converted to pi bond. That is what is happening here. This sigma bond is broken and it is converted to pi bond here between carbon and carbon. That's how the positive charge is neutralized. But this positive charge is here. It is transported to this proton. That is what you have to understand. This is the complete process. So this is our ethene. This is our ethene. So here you can make another note. The acid used in step 1 is released in step 3. The acid used in step 1 is released in step 3. Another thing is that by Lee-Charter's principle, what we do is, in order to shift the equilibrium to right side, we remove ethene as when it is formed. It is formed. We remove the ethene as and when it is formed. We remove the ethene as and when it is formed. Okay, ma. Next. Next is oxidation. So here in the oxidation, we see different reagents. Different reagents you have to remember. That is a thing here. So if I take the process wise, they are all same. They will give the same kind of product. Suppose I take ethyl alcohol, CH3, CH2OH. Ethyl alcohol with the example will tell. So oxidation is done by K2Cr2O7 and H2SO4. So I told you the sequence. Alcohol, when it gets oxidized, you will get an aldehyde or a ketone. So this is what you get, acetaldehyde. And K2Cr2O7 is a very powerful oxidizing agent. It will oxidize this further to get an acid. To get an acid. It will oxidize further to get an acid. So this is the first one. Next one, CrO3, chromium oxide in anhydrous medium. medium. That is used to stop at the aldehyde stage. Alcohol to aldehyde. These are the things you have to must remember. So suppose I take CH3 CH2OH and I treat with CrO3, I get aldehyde and it will stop here. That is most important. I get an aldehyde and this is acetaldehyde. This is acetaldehyde and this is ethyl alcohol. This is ethyl alcohol. This is acetaldehyde once again. Acetaldehyde. And this is acetic acid. Acetic acid. And this is ethyl alcohol. Okay, ma. Next one. For oxidation of primary alcohols. For oxidation of primary alcohols to aldehydes. Pyridinium chlorochromate. PCC. It is called pyridinium chlorochromate. Pyridinium chlorochromate. PCC it is called. It is used. Okay. It is a complex of chromium oxide. Pyridine, you might not be having an idea. This is pyridine structure. Pyridine and HCl, all the three. This is a complex of all the three. Chromium oxide, pyridine, this is the pyridine. Pyridine means instead of one carbon in benzene, you have nitrogen. That is called pyridine. And now HCl. And now let us consider this. So we have CH3CH double bond CH, so CH2OH. Suppose you have two groups. This is a double bond that is also sensitive for oxidation, and you have CH2OH. This is also sensitive for oxidation. And now if you use PCC, it is very selectively, it will oxidize OH. It will not touch the double bond. That is a beauty. So you get CH3 CH double bond CH CHO. So that's the beauty. Clear, Amma? Now, if I consider secondary alcohols like this generally they don't ask. Secondary alcohols, if you have a secondary alcohol like this, then they use CrO3 anhydrous. Anhydrous CrO3 if they use, what you get is R dash C double bond O R. This is a ketone. you will get ketone. Anhydrous CrO3 they will use to get ketone. This reagents you have to remember, that is very, very important. And this is a secondary alcohol. And one important point is that tertiary alcohols do not undergo oxidation easily. Oxidation easily. Do not undergo oxidation easily. They don't undergo oxidation that is. But generally they don't ask the tertiary alcohol oxidation. But anyway, we have one example given in the textbook. So you have this one. This is tertiary butyl alcohol. The oxidation will be done by using powerful oxidizing agents like K2Cr2O7, K2Cr2O7 in the presence of an acid, or you take the KMnO4. This is called acidified KMnO4 or acidified K2Cr2O7. Any one of these reagents. What first happens is with the action of an acid, you get the dehydration done. Dehydration means I told you it is like this. First, the dehydration will happen to form CH3C double bond CH2 CH3. First, the dehydration will happen. And next is that this bond will break to form a ketone. It may be difficult for you, but it's okay. You have to deal with this. But this is not that important in my opinion. So this ketone and this is acetone, and now this undergoes further oxidation to form CHCOH. Okay, and this can further undergo oxidations. Okay, and you may get HCOH. All these things can happen. And HCOOH, it can also further undergo the oxidation. So to get CO2 and water. So these are very complex reaction, but not that complex. You will get the ketones. If you take tertiary alcohols, you get ketones and ketones you get with less number of carbons. With less number of carbons. So this much, if you remember, I hope that is sufficient. Ketones with less number of carbons. This is what you end up. Further, the ketones can also get oxidized to the carboxylic acids, which are still a numberless. If you check the number of carbons, this is 1, 2, 3. And now when it comes to acid, you have 2 carbons. Starting alcohol, you have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. It reduces to a ketone of 3 and an acid. Okay, you get an acid with less number of carbons. So that is what happens in the tertiary alcohols. But the previous reaction and that PCC is there, right? Those are really, really important. PCC situation is really, really important. So up to here, that is sufficient amount. So I will let you know about tomorrow what time the class will be. Okay, ma?
Okay, sir.
Clear? Okay. Bye, ma. Take care.
Thank you.